You're watching a Big Z review. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is the newest adaptation of George R.R. Martin's unfinished masterpiece, or at least a novella, a series of novellas from his world. And I have to say that this is probably the best piece of visual fantasy media since season 4 or 5 of Game of Thrones. I absolutely loved it.
Came for the tourney?
Tourney is a contest for knights. You a knight?
I'm no farmer.
Yet you've come dressed as one.
Sir, I could scribe you, and you could teach me. Every knight needs a squire, and you look like you need one more than most.
So I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones, like the books and the first couple seasons of the show. Like it kind of shat the bed at the end. But I have been there since I think that the Game of Thrones, the first book, I think I had a trade paperback of it. And I think I didn't have to wait long for book 2. But I think book 2 wasn't out when I first read it. So I think I got there right around the start of the series. And I loved it. I really, my name is Brandon. And so I was young then. So I really identified with Bran Stark. Like he was my favorite character for a lot of the books, especially at the beginning. But when it was so cool when he got with the Game of Thrones, they actually made something really good. And I loved those first couple seasons. It's almost like low fantasy. It's not like high fantasy. Like when you start adding a bunch of dragons and magic and stuff, I love that shit. But sometimes it can become a little corny, especially if you don't have great writers and you no longer have books to follow. But A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is perfect because it brings it back to that low fantasy. Because the House of the Dragon, I liked the first season, but I heard a lot of bad things about season 2. I never even got around to watching it. And for the books of them, I tried reading a chapter or 2 of it, and they read like a textbook. It was like a textbook about the history of the Targaryens. It's not a real book. So when they adapted it, they didn't adapt stories. It jumps 20 years, and they're like, well, why the fuck should I care about them? I'm not with them. But this one is so much better, and it's not very long. It's like a movie. This could easily have been a movie. It's 3 hours long, split into 6 episodes. And I almost wish I had a little bit more time with these characters. But at the same time, it's great that you just have them there. They don't overstay their welcome. And the creator of this show is Ira Parker. And he says he wants to do multiple seasons of this. It's funny, people complain about waiting, after they started reading the books, once the show started. A lot of us have been waiting for the end of the story since 1999, 1998? I think I started 1999 to 2000. But 26 years, 28 years. And I don't know if he's ever going to finish it. But, I mean, I still love the guy and love his works. But, Knight of Seven Kingdoms, it started out just as novellas he would release in between some of the books. And the first one was just Dunk and Egg. It's The Adventures of Dunk and Egg. And it stars Sir Duncan, Dunk the Tall, and Egg. And the characters playing him in the show, Peter Claffey as Dunk, and Dexter Ansel as Egg. And they're perfect for it. Although it is Peter Claffey, he's kind of like the actor for Reacher, where they actually got a really big guy to play the part, but he's still not as big as they are in the book. I think he's 6'9" or almost 7 foot tall in the books. But the actor is he's as tall as me, 6'5". And he was a rugby player, and I think he's really good. I loved him as this, and you really feel for him. And the show, like the direction of it is so perfect. I know some guy put like together like a reel of all the have how the synergy and everything that happens in the story and all the different shots, and it is perfect. Like this, I almost I watched it like um I waited for it until the finale. Essentially, the day before the finale, I watched the first 3 episodes, and day of the finale, I watched the last 3 episodes. Because I wanted just to see it like that, and it was so perfect. Like I love like the night action. Essentially, when I was thinking about, it's been a while since I read, the novellas. Like they put it together as like one book, but it started out as 3 novellas. So we have some material for this, but at the same time, it sounds like Ira Parker wants to do more material. Like we'll see. Like they go on adventures though. So there's a lot you could do that isn't in the books. But there's sometimes when you don't follow what George wrote, it ends up not being great. But I still have high hopes. But it's funny, when I was thinking about before the show started, when I was trying to remember everything that happened, I remember like the big moments, but I didn't remember a lot of it. And when I started like describing it, I was like, wait, is that a Knight of Seven Kingdoms or is that a Knight's Tale? Like they are kind of similar. Because essentially, he grew up as an orphan in Flea Bottom in King's Landing, and he was taken in by a hedge knight. And that's like a hedge knight that like almost like a mercenary, but like he goes around like he'll serve for a lord in the campaign and then he'll move on. Like, but he has essentially died, and you don't know whether he knighted him or not. But Peter Claffey, Sir Duncan, he was a squire for him for so long that now he's gonna he buries him under the tree, and then he projectile diarrheas all over the place and by the tree. I was like, this show is interesting. They definitely, it's funny. There's definitely a lot of moments like they break serious moments, like he's like crying over his grave, and the next one he's shitting himself. And some other time, like he's looking for other people to help him in the big mash, the meeting of the 7 knights or whatever. And the guy stands up like he's gonna join them, and then like that is kind of George R.R. Martin does stuff like that sometimes. But I like the tone of it. But like essentially, he once has to go and he try to make a name for himself at this one lord is having like a names day a party for his daughter, and he wants to have a big tournament. And along the way, Dunk runs into this little bald who he thinks is a stable boy, and the stable boy like follows him home like a stray dog, and he decides to take him on as a squire, even though he barely knows how to be a knight. He's just kind of big and strong, but he doesn't really have the true training he probably should have, but he still has the heart of a knight, probably more than a lot of the other knights that are at the tournament. And but like some of the jousting you see is really well done. And I almost say like there's a big battle in the one in episode 5. I almost wish they hadn't shown more of it. There's even some like they released some scenes of stuff we didn't even see. But I think that they want to keep the budget down, so like it's foggy, and it is cool. But I still would have loved to see a little bit more. But as a whole, I just love this. It's like a 10 out of 10. Like there's so much heart, and it's so artistic. Like the direction of it, and then the writing of it, of course, is great because he's like a direct like adaptation of George R.R. Martin's work. Except like they changed the gender of his kid, his best friend when he was a kid. Like, but other than that, like as far as I can remember, it's pretty like just straight adaptation, and it's just perfect. I love this so much. And if you are a fan of the like original seasons of Game of Thrones, but you don't want to try again because like you kind of, but I felt the same. But this like brought back my love for this world. I love that low fantasy where, but it's still like so like the armor is way better than they ever did for the main show. But they actually like they're unique. Like these families, they love that shit. Like the bees and the apples and the Baratheon, like the stags and then the dragons. Like it's like the armor is really cool. And everything about it is just great. Like, but thanks for watching. And want to see more of me, can subscribe down below. Thanks.